Most reps don't lose a deal because of their pitch. They lose in the first 30 seconds, long before discovery even begins. And they lose it for one reason most people never think about: status. Buyers are judging you instantly. Your tone, your confidence, your presence, your language, whether you show up like a peer or like a vendor. And here's the part most reps don't realize. If the buyer decides you're low status, the entire rest of the call gets harder. Objections increase, honesty decrease, next steps disappear, and momentum dies. Hey, I'm Marcus Chan, CEO of Bentley Consulting, and I've reviewed tens of thousands of sales calls. I've trained hundreds of thousands of reps. I personally ran 190 million a year sales org over 100 reps, and across 19,000 closed deals, I've seen the exact same mistakes repeat over and over and over. So today, I'm breaking down 17 subtle status-killing behaviors that instantly ruin your calls, and more importantly, what to do instead. Let's get into it. So number one, apologizing for taking their time. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time today. I know you're super busy. Stop. You just told them their time is more valuable than yours. You're beneath them. You're lucky they showed up. So here's what to do instead. So you want to start with confidence. That might sound something like, hey, John, excited to connect. Based on what you shared with our SDR, Tom, sounds like you're looking to solve a specific problem. Let's go and dive right in. So there's no apology. There's no groveling. You're at equal footing. Number two, asking, did I catch you at a bad time? This is super weak language that immediately lowers your status. You're basically saying, I'm probably interrupting something more important than this call. Now, here's the thing. I used to do this all the time, especially on cold calls. And I'll tell you what, every time I did it, every time they said, yeah, actually, I don't have time. This is a bad time. So here's what to do instead. Now, if it's a scheduled meeting you already have, you don't need to ask. They've booked it. If it's a cold call, just go straight into the value. And it might sound something like, hey, name, it's Marcus with Bentley. The reason for my call was that I saw in your Q4 earnings call, Lisa, your CEO, has stated the sales org is struggling going up market to enterprise, long deal cycles, and low win rates. So you can see here, it's short, it's direct, it's confident. Number three, over-explaining who you are, especially early on. So that sounds something like, hey, so I'm Marcus Chan. I've been in sales for 17 years. I'm excited to meet with you. I used to work with a Fortune 500 company. You know, I had a big org, over 110 reps. We did 190 mil a year. I had President's Club every single year. I've trained teams in reps at companies like Salesforce, Google, HubSpot, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares, especially early on in the call. You're just trying to prove yourself. That's low status behavior. So here's what to do instead. One line of credibility, especially early on. That's it. So that might sound something like, hey, I'm Marcus Chan, CEO of Bentley Consulting Group. We help B2B sales teams close 40% more deals. That's it. Then we move to them. High status people talk about the prospect, not themselves. Number four, asking permission to ask questions. Hey, do you mind if I maybe ask you a few questions to understand your situation better? You just gave away control of the call. So here's what to do instead. Just start the conversation naturally. That sounds something like, hey, so help me understand. What's driving you to look at network security right now? Or, hey, what's going on in the business that's driving you to look at AI automation right now? Remember, you are the expert. You're the trusted advisor. You have to act like it. Guide the conversation. Number five, letting them control the agenda. So the prospect says something like, hey, so can you just show me the demo really quick? Most reps go, yeah, absolutely. Let me go and just share my screen. You've just lost. What to do instead? You want to reset the frame. And that sounds something like, hey, happy to show exactly how we solve problem. But before I waste your time showing you so it's not relevant, help me understand, what specifically are you looking to improve? You're the guide, not the dancing monkey. This helps you now solve specific business problems. Number six, filling every silence with talking. Nervous reps talk a lot. They ask a question, the prospect pauses to think, and the rep immediately jumps in with more words. Silence makes you uncomfortable. That's low status. So let me give you a really simple example. This is years ago. I was actually in Vancouver, Canada, and I was hanging out with a different sales team and one of the reps in the field because the team was struggling a little bit. The reps were struggling. And my sales VP said, hey, Marcus, I was a sales manager. He said, can you go up there and maybe spend some time with this other org and see how they're doing? I was with this rep that was newer to the company, and we go on the sales call, and she does a great job, pretty good discovery. We actually ended up doing also going into a solution as well. She presented all the pricing on the spot, and I think it was like a $20,000 ARR, and then she stops talking, and as there's silence, it's like maybe just a couple seconds, and you can tell the guy is thinking, and she jumps in and says, but if you want to take some time to kind of think about this, completely cool, and we can always set up another meeting like next week or something. And the guy's like, yeah, okay, sounds good. We should have another meeting. I really like this whole solution overall. I just wasn't sure about this one piece, but yeah, let's go ahead and set up another conversation for next week. And the rep jumps in and is like, cool, I got my calendar handy. How does next week on Thursday this time? Like they'll look, and the guy's like, oh, that time works. They lock in the time. I'm like, oh no. So I literally hop in, I kind of tap her foot with my foot, and then just kind of want to take over a little bit. I say, hey, I can't remember the guy's name. Let's just call him Tom to make it simple. I said, hey, Tom, great. Hey, we're looking forward to having another conversation next week at Thursday, whatever time. And I'm curious, because you just mentioned, sounds like, you love this whole solution. There's only one piece you're not sure about. If you don't mind me asking, can you tell me a little more what you mean exactly? And there's a silence. And maybe only a couple seconds, and he says, well, I'm just not sure how this works with the timeline, etc. And then I say, hey, cool. Aside from that, is there any other reason that's kind of giving you pause? And he said, yeah, no, really, it's just timeline of, that specific component getting added on. I think it's not going to make sense from what we do right now, but maybe in like 2 months or so. So I say, okay, cool. So it sounds, if I understand right, you like everything else, let's go A through X, if you will. But Y and Z, it's just timing-wise doesn't make sense right now. Does that sound about right? And he pauses, and it is probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds. He's like, yeah, that sounds exactly right. I say, great. So with that being said, since that makes perfect sense, tell me if this fits for you. Let's pause on, Y and Z, part of the solution. Don't even think about it for right now. But since you're already good with A through X, why don't we go ahead and get you set up right now for A through X? This way you don't have to wait anymore to solve XYZ problem. And then there's this dead silence. And I can see this rep next to me. It's getting like very nervous. And the silence, it was probably about 30 seconds. So it was actually a pretty significant silence. And I can see the guy, he's like processing, he's thinking it through. And he looks at me, I look at him, he looks at the rep looks down. And at 30 seconds, which, realistically, in the moment, it felt like, 20 minutes, but it was probably about 30 seconds or so. I see him about halfway, he's starting to kind of nod his head. And he says, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. Can you send me over the paperwork? And I can see the rep is about to jump in. I say, cool, we can definitely do that. Now, what we can do, if you're cool with it, do you have a hard stop right now? Or do you have maybe 15, 20 minutes for us to kind of take care of all this right now? Again, another dead silence for maybe 10 seconds. The guy says, yeah, actually, we can do that. Cool. I say, great. If you want to give us 5 minutes, we'll just drop really quick just on our laptop, and then we'll go over with you. As long as we're completely aligned, we can take care of the paperwork, and we can literally start our service literally next week. Does that sound good to you? He says, that sounds awesome. I say, great. So that's a good example of how we ask questions all throughout to be able to have that silence to help move the deal forward. So it's simple. You ask whatever question is, and simply you shut up. You let the silence sit. Let them think. Let them talk. The person who's comfortable with silence controls the conversations. Like, just an example, I literally have seen, even just in discovery, 10-second, 20 pauses lead to the most valuable information in discovery. Number 7, saying, to be honest with you. Think about what that implies. If you're being honest now, were you lying before? This phrase destroys trust subconsciously. So just tell them the truth. You don't need to announce it. It's simple as, here's what I see happening. Here's the reality. And if you sense them to be one of those who are maybe more sensitive, you can literally ask, hey, can I be direct with you? So be direct, no qualifiers. Number 8, asking, does that make sense? You just ask them to validate your explanation. You're seeking approval. That's very low status. So here's what to do instead. Hey, what questions do you have on that? Or better yet, hey, how do you see that applying to your situation? This keeps you in control and gets them talking. Number 9, pitching too early. The prospect mentions a problem, the rep immediately jumps in. Oh, we can totally help with that. Let me show you how our solution does X, Y, Z. So I used to do that. I'd hear the pain and then I'll get so excited to talk about our solution. But as I matured in my skills, I noticed I would barely get really any pain. And as I was going through just excitement, pitching about how awesome we were telling stories, I noticed her eyes would glaze over slightly as I went on a monologue. And before we knew it, the call was over and then they'd ghost me. And then of course I have this endless follow-up. So here's the reality. When you pitch too early, you haven't diagnosed anything. You don't know the impact. You don't know if they're even in pain or what level of pain. So here's what you want to do instead. You want to go deeper on the problem first. And that sounds something like, hey, that's interesting. Can you tell me a little more about that? How long has that been going on? What have you tried so far? What happens if 6 months goes by and you're still dealing with this problem? So you want to dig into the pain. You want to make it visceral. And you show a solution once you're very clear on their current state and desired future state. Number 10, using weak language. I think we could probably help with that. Maybe we can look at this. Hopefully this makes sense. Every weak word chips away at your credibility. So here's what to do instead. You want to speak with conviction. Here's what we're going to do. Based on what you've told me, here's exactly how we solve that. You want to remove words like I think, maybe, hopefully, probably, possibly. You want to be decisive in your language. Number 11, looking down or away on Zoom. Your camera angle matters. Looking down at your camera makes you look smaller, literally. Looking away while they're talking signals you're not fully present. So here's what to do instead. Camera at eye level. Look directly in the camera when you speak. This could be a laptop on a stand, external monitor elevated. Make eye contact through the lens. It's a very small thing, but has a massive impact. Number 12, always laughing at your own jokes. If you always have to laugh at your own jokes, it wasn't that funny. And you're trying too hard to be likable. That's low status. So here's what to do instead. Use humor sparingly, okay? Deliver a deadpan. If they laugh, great. If they don't, keep moving. Don't seek validation for your humor. Number 13, saying, just checking in your follow-ups. This is the number one worst follow-up line in sales. It screams, I have nothing valuable to say, but I need to stay top of mind. So here's what to do instead. Every follow-up needs value. Now, it might be something like, hey, name, saw this article on whatever relevant topic, and thought about our recent conversation about specific problem. Quick thought, add in your insight worth discussing. Or name, follow up on our call last week when you mentioned specific pain. I put together a quick game plan on how we approach this. When can we discuss? So use value first, always. Number 14, asking, what's your budget? This question immediately puts you in vendor mode. You're a cost, not an investment. So here's what to do instead. Ask about the impact instead. Help me understand, if you don't solve problem next 6 months, what are the potential negative ramifications you might see as a result of that? So here we're trying to identify what's the cost revenue, is the cost time, the cost opportunities, and then maybe later, hey, based on what you've shared, this problem is costing you roughly X amount a year. Does it make sense to invest Y to solve it? So now we're framing as potential return on investment, you're uncovering the cost of an action, we're not focused on the budget. Number 15, talking about features without context. So we have this really cool AI-powered analytics dashboard. It integrates like 47 different tools. You can customize reports in 19 different ways. Nobody cares about your features. So here's what to do instead. Tie every feature to their problem. So for instance, hey, you mentioned reps are losing deals because they don't know which question to ask in discovery. Here's how we solve that. Then we can show a very specific feature. This gives them the exact question based on buyers' industry and pain points. How do you see that helping your team? So you notice that there's a problem, a solution, or tying back to the impact. Number 16, getting defensive about objection. Prospect says something like, this seems really expensive. Well, really weak rep says something, well, actually, our pricing is very competitive. And if you look at what our competitors charge, we're actually cheaper. And we factor in all these features, blah, 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 blah. You just got triggered. It's low status. Here's what to do instead. Stay calm. Dig deeper. Yeah, I appreciate that. Help me understand. When you say expensive, what are you comparing it to? Or, hey, you know what's a fair concern? What specifically feels expensive? Is it the total cost, the monthly investment, the timeline? Help me understand that. So you never defend, you always diagnose. Number 17, ending without clear next steps. So yeah, this is great. Let me send over some information. We can reconnect soon. As you and I both know, soon never happens. You just gave up control. So here's what to do instead. Lock in the next step before you hang up. Hey, based on what we discussed, here are the next steps. I'm going to send you a specific thing by XYZ date. You're going to review it with stakeholder that they mentioned. Then you and I are going to meet on whatever date and time to discuss. Does that work? Get them to commit. Calendar invite is sent before the call even ends. So here's the thing. Status isn't about being arrogant. It's about showing up as a trusted advisor, as an expert. Shown by someone who's done this hundreds or thousands of times already and knows exactly how to guide them through the process. High status reps control the conversation. They ask better questions. They don't seek approval. They speak with conviction. Low status reps apologize, overly qualify everything, give away control. The market's getting harder. Buyers are more skeptical. Budgets are tighter. The reps who master status will close deals. The ones who don't will struggle. So stop doing these 17 things and start showing up differently. Your close rate will thank you. Now, if you want the complete system for positioning yourself as the expert from the very first call, from exact discovery frameworks, scripts, and closes that led to my own personal multiple President's Club success, grab my book, 6-Figure Sales Secrets. It's a Wall Street Journal best-selling book. The link is in the description below. Now, if you found this valuable, hit subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or if you're listening on your favorite podcast player. I drop new videos every single week on how to crush it in B2B sales. I'll see you in the next one.